Hello, once again. I am Doc Rotten, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-host on the net. And tonight we are reviewing Phobias. We're going to explore your fears tonight. Maybe. All right, joining me tonight is Dave Dreher, lead news writer at Gruesome Magazine. Dave, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How's everybody? We all doing good?
We're doing good.
Excellent.
No,
Excellent.
No fear here.
Christopher's not saying anything. I'm not sure.
Not yet.
But now
I'm full of phobias.
Full of phobias. He is the phobia king. All right. Also joining us is that voice you hear, award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I think Phobias will be, if they ever make a book about me, be the title.
Phobias?
Phobias.
That'll be your memoirs?
And my memoirs, Phobias. Filmmaker Phobias.
Featuring the director of the scariest Star Wars movie ever, Christopher G. Moore.
Exactly. Oh, also filming a segment in the upcoming Vacation Horror Anthology, Worst Laid Plans, by the way.
Yes.
So
congratulations.
I'll have my name attached to a feature soon.
Yes. That'd be exciting. We'll have to keep tabs on that. You'll have to let us know how that goes.
We'll do. All
right. So what we're doing tonight, we're going to review this movie, Phobias. We're going to give our first impressions. We're going to talk about the movie a little bit, and then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, 1 to 5. 5. We'll put it over here. 5. And our favorite scene. That's what we're going to do. But what is Phobias? And where is my mouse? Phobias is available in theaters, VOD, and digital March 5th, 2021. So it is out there now for you to watch. The synopsis is 5 dangerous patients suffering from extreme phobias at a government testing facility are put to the ultimate test under the supervision of a crazed doctor in his quest to weaponize fear. It is written and directed by Sill, Maritte and Broderick, Engelhard, Chris von Hoffmann, Camilla, Belle, and Jess, Varley. The cast includes a number of people. I won't go through each of them. A couple of names you might recognize are Lena Nam and Macy Gray and Hannah Mae Lee. Very interesting cast. And an anthology film that maybe plays, with a very strong, what they call bookends. The story that ties them all together is unique for this particular picture. So it's going to be very interesting to see what our reaction to that is. So let's start off with our first impressions. Dave Dreher, you, sir, are up first.
I get to go first. Yay. As tends to happen, I knew nothing about this movie. I didn't even know what we were reviewing. I'm like, Doc, what the hell am I supposed to be watching? And so I didn't know what this was. I had no idea. So I went into it totally blind. Was surprised when it appeared it was going to be an anthology. And it is kind of, in a way, not really, but it is. And I was surprised to see Macy Gray on there. I have a local connection with Macy Gray. Macy Gray is from my hometown here of Canton, Ohio. So she's a local girl done good, I guess. I don't know. I remember when. Yes, I remember when her song hit big. I was the chef down at the big fancy hotel here in town at the time, and we had a big party for her when she was going to win a Grammy for that "I Try" song. Remember that song, "I Try"?
Yeah.
She's kind of a one-hit wonder with that one, I think. I'm not 100% sure. And then I ran into her one other time at a football game that I was shooting, and she sang the national anthem and screwed it all up. And
No.
So that was interesting. But anyway, I was surprised to see her in this, and she's kind of unrecognizable in this, partially because the first time we see her face is all bandaged up, but as soon as she talks, she has a very recognizable voice. So I was like, holy shit, that's Macy Gray. So that was kind of fun to see. But anyway, getting back to the story at hand, it's a really interesting ride. I found myself really liking it. I liked how they were able to, intertwine these totally different plot lines and stories, and yet at the same time keep that common thread, going through them with this government testing facility line, I guess. But yeah, it was unique. It was much better than I was anticipating. but I'm not sure it was good enough.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting kind of twist there. Well, it'll be exciting to get into the details on that one. All right, Christopher G. Moore, what was your first impression of Phobias?
Well, yeah, I was interested in seeing, with this being an anthology and stuff. I think we've seen a good, almost like a renaissance of really good anthology films lately. And so with this one, I was kind of interested with the phobia angle, where each sort of segment like ties into a different phobia, and I think the way they structure it with how the first segment sort of ties into the other segments, and they all sort of, by the end, you kind of figure out it's all part of this whole thing, is an interesting way to do it, instead of it just, an overarching story and then we go into that, or these stories are tales being told by someone and stuff. So yeah, it had an interesting angle, and I think like most, some anthologies, there's always a few that are better than the others. Some are really good, and maybe some might be kind of bad. And that's how I felt. I felt like maybe half of the stories were good, and the other half weren't as good. There's one involving guns that just feels like it's more just an anti-gun commercial, and not really a phobia segment. Sure. It just felt like so ham-handed and just there wasn't really much to it, to where I was kind of more annoyed. And I think if you're dealing with phobias, you at least want to sort of play around and do something you haven't seen. But then you go to like the Robophobia one, which involves computers and stuff. I love that. Some of the special effects involved with that was really cool. And then there's one involving a teacher that's like made my jaw drop. I was like, oh my God, this is really like, they're not holding back on that one. And that was really twisted and cool. And I was like, wow, this is great. But then, Macy Gray needs to stick to cameos in Spider-Man movies and not any bigger parts, because she wasn't good in my opinion. And I would notice in the opening credits it said Macy Gray, and I was like, is that the Macy Gray I think it is? And I was like, she just should have stuck to just maybe singing a song in the end credits, because she was not good, and I didn't really like that segment, because the whole time I'm thinking logically, how is she going to be able to do this surgery on herself? So yeah, without giving anything away. But anyway, I think the film is a mixed bag. And some work really well, and some not as much.
Yeah, and you're right. That is true with a lot of anthologies. I mean, this one has a lot in common with an old Amicus film, Asylum. I don't know if you guys remember that, where in that film a psychiatrist goes to an asylum and hears the stories from those that are in the asylum, and that kind of happens here. But for me, what I liked about it was tonally the whole film felt the same. It felt like one vision, even though we do have 5 or 6 different, we have 5 segments in the Outpost 37 wraparound kind of thing where they're at. And I don't know. I liked the cast. I liked Macy Gray. I thought her character was quirky. I didn't see it as bad acting. I thought it was particularly that character. So I didn't really get that impression. But now that when I go to rewatch it, I will. That'll be a thing. But the 5 phobias are interesting, right? There's robophobia, which is the fear of, it's drudgery. It's called it's this Czech word for drudgery, but it's the fear of robots, drones, and artificial intelligence, AIs in this case. Vihiphobia, which is vehicles, or the fear of driving. Ephobiphobia, the fear of youth or teenagers. Maybe the strongest episode. We'll get into that. Hoplophobia, which is the morbid fear of guns and firearms. So when you think of it that way, that segment maybe makes a little more sense. It's established at that, and then she reacts a certain way. I mean, I see where you guys go with that, but I like that one a little bit more. And I think that's telling. A lot of the times with these anthologies, some stories will appeal to other a certain group of people where it may not appeal to others. And then atelophobia, maybe. The fear of not doing something right, the fear of imperfection, which every podcaster has. I think. I don't know. I enjoyed this film quite a bit. Is it uneven? I mean, it's the nature of anthologies, but I was really impressed with the structure of this one. I was really impressed with the cast, including Macy Gray. I really liked Leonard Nam as our lead of sorts, and Hannah Mae Lee I thought was a lot of fun in her segment. Sometimes the segments don't really nail what they're after, but they get close enough to where it helps the overall story. And this weaponizing fear idea, which, it's not new, Scarecrow, but it kind of has that kind of feel to it. I might be a little nuts to like it as much as I did, but
I think you can like it for what it's. I mean, for instance, the cinematography throughout all of it is good.
Yes, very much.
I mean,
so.
I think that's the one thing that doesn't stray away from quality, or you can appreciate everything. All the use of cinematography, the shot selection, all that stuff really works well for all the different segments. Even the segments I didn't like, even like the NRA commercial segment, anti-NRA commercial segment. Even a lot of the shot selection and stuff like that works really well. Although you can sort of tell that the actress that they have playing this sort of cop character, all her stuff is very ill-fitting, so she doesn't even look like she normally wears, like the mask and all that stuff. But again, I think whoever the different people they got, controlling the camera work and setting lighting and effects and stuff, filters and stuff work really well for those segments. And even some of the use of special effects, whether it's like even like the use of electricity in certain segments, or there's almost like a electricity, without revealing too much, like an electricity figure or creature, that works really well. But the thing that lets me down is just the storytelling, to where it's like either just like nothing new, spot on, kind of boring, where it's going, as opposed to other stuff which they play around and have a little more fun with. So, but I mean, that's the positive with the cinematography is amazing throughout this. Usually that's up and down, especially when you have different directors.
Yeah, they usually they all get their budget and they go off and make something, right? And they try to tie it together. There's a lot of films that we've talked about. VHS is kind of like that. The Borderland or whatever, the South of the Border was kind of like that or whatever. So, but this one I thought was very, I thought it worked really well. I thought it was really structured well. I really liked it. I'm not going to repeat that again. But Dave, I think we're all in agreement that the one about the high schoolers and what that implied, the kids, the fear of youth and teenagers, that's the strongest one as far as the horror goes. Robophobia probably gets the sci-fi part of it better, but I know that you texted me when you were watching it, so that one made an impression on you.
Yeah, it's a brutal one. I mean, it really is. That one just goes for the jugular, man. It really does. It was by far, I think, the best episode in it. But it is rather amazing with this. Again, if you don't read the liner notes on it, it's really kind of hard to tell sometimes, even that different directors have, a lot of times with these, you can really see the different styles and stuff. They managed to keep the overall tone of this like spot on all the way through, which is kind of surprising. I don't know. At least it was to me.
Yeah, it was for me as well. I don't even know if I realized there were so many directors on it until I started getting the show notes together. It felt so solid. Another thing they do well is I don't think it had. It wasn't. It didn't feel like there were slow parts versus parts that really worked well. I mean, I think in that respect, Christopher, I think it. What's the word I'm looking for? But were there parts where it's like, oh crap, now it's coming to a complete dead stop, or did each segment, good or bad, have the same kind of pacing to it?
I think the pacing's fine. I mean, it's really hard to mess up pacing in a film that's under an hour and a half. So, so you have that.
People do it though.
Well, true. But yeah, I think the pacing works because I think each individual segment really isn't that long. And it's almost like sometimes a segment within a segment because you have them going into the fear thing and then they go back into like the real world or whatever, or the current world, I guess. So yeah, I think the way everything is incorporated is interesting. I mean, there is, I think there was like one part where it went to black for some reason, and I was like, "What?" I thought something had happened to what I was watching streaming wise, and it was just the way it was edited. Because we do have sort of like there is a little bit of a weird time jump after the first segment,
section,
which is kind of weird, and you're like, "What?" At first, you're like, "Is this a new thing?" But then it's because it's the same character, you're kind of thrown off. I think that was the only part that I felt uneven, like they didn't know how to transition to that. But other than that, I think everything kind of flows together, especially, as we keep going back and forth between like, the dream stuff and current stuff and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it almost
were they trying? Oh, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it almost felt like they originally were going to put like the credits there, because it felt like it was a solid cut as opposed to a transition.
That's true. Because I think when I was watching it, I wasn't sure how they were going to, how the form of this, how the structure was this going to work. And then when it had that kind of abrupt, like, that felt like one of those things like the end of like Evil Dead 2 where it goes into the past, or, where you just automatically have this time jump. You're like, what happened in between?
Yeah.
Well, and I was a little confused too as far as what they were weaponizing exactly. I mean, was he? Again, I don't want to give away too much, but he kept talking about fill with this canister up. Was he like capturing their fear somehow and storing it?
He was capturing their fear and making fear gas. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it was almost like. Have you guys ever seen City of Lost Children?
Yes.
Sort of like they take the dreams, the nightmares of children, and So because I was a little bit confused too. Because a
couple times he's like, give me a full container. I'm like, what did he say? That doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is he talking about?
So it's instead of tear gas, it's fear gas. So
fear gas.
Yeah,
very Scarecrow from Batman.
I was thinking that would have been an interesting tie-in if like a guy in like a scarecrow mask who showed up at the very end.
I think really the only flaw, outside of maybe some acting, is I think they kind of dropped the ball at the ending. The ending wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be. It certainly does its job, but am I alone that the ending?
Well,
yeah, but it's service. I mean, it serviced the movie, I guess. But
it certainly did. Yeah,
it felt like a weak way to sort of do the wrap around element, because they sort of like lazily tie the guy's father and his issues to this, and that would be a way for him getting back.
Yep.
And so I guess in some way that's the reason he got him. I don't know. Then I'm thinking, did he purposely throw it? I guess he purposely
I thought it was like a revenge thing. Yeah.
But it wasn't very clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean, it felt like a very lazy, like a lazy way to sort of like wrap up that thing. The reason he was there, as opposed to, maybe they thought he was crazy because he was saying that like, computers are attacking me type thing. And then they throw him into this asylum or whatever.
Yeah. It'd work better if we knew ahead of time, right? It almost would have given us a little more suspense.
Because we don't really know any of that information in that first segment.
Yeah, or any segment up until the end. So.
But if there'd been some information as to the tie into the father within that segment, other than him just being sick, all we know is that the guy's sick. We don't know that if he got like stuff, if his brain got shrunk because he was at this crazy asylum.
Yep.
So yeah,
got his fears sucked out of his brain. All right, well, I think we better stop talking before we spoil more of the movie. So let's go ahead, wrap things up. We'll give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, if you're still listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We hope you're enjoying not only this review, but many other reviews that we have on our channel and on our podcast. And if you want to help support us, and it's really easy to do, and it's free, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button or share with a friend. Either thing does a great deal for us, and we appreciate and thank you. If you want to get a little bit more involved, you can hit the like button. You can hit the bell for being notified when the next episode comes out, or you can even leave some comments, and we love our comments. We've been getting quite a lot of comments lately. We love them all. Thank you all so much. We want to take a quick minute to thank our patrons over at Patreon. Who's without patronage, we would not be able to do not only the Horror News Radio podcast, but Gruesome Magazine, Decades of Horror, Heroes and Droids. Yes, we put out a show each weekday on most weeks. It's rather crazy, and we thank our patrons for helping us make that happen.
Our ever-growing list.
Yes, and they do have some interesting perks, which includes some older shows that are harder to find are up there every week. And we have recommendations, weekly recommendations, and other you get Doc
and a G-string. Doc and a G-string.
That's usually the most incredibly amazing thing.
I now have a phobia against that.
Yes. Phobia.
Doc phobia.
Doc Bohophobia. Wow. Where's the editor when you need him? I'm going to stop there and let's get into our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. Dave Dreher, you are up first, sir.
I actually kind of enjoyed this movie. I really did. And even now talking about it has kind of re-perked my interest in it. I'm going to have to watch it again. It's a fun little anthology. They kind of play fast and loose with some of the phobias, I think. They're kind of tied in there a little rough. The teacher segment is by far the best, the most brutal, the most horrific. I like that segment a lot. But if I'm being honest, I kind of like the whole movie fairly well. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Oh, nice.
And favorite scene, I've actually got a couple, but I'm going to go with the one that was kind of the most shocking, I guess. I don't know. It's the one that surprised me the most, and I can't say too much because I don't want to ruin it. But I was just, as this segment is playing out, we're not really sure what's going on, and it's the Macy Gray segment, and we're not really sure what the hell exactly is going on because Macy's kind of playing this character very oddly, almost like she's drunk.
Yeah, very aloof. Very aloof.
Yeah, and but when she takes off her gloves,
yes,
and we realize what's going on, I was like, "Holy fuck!" That I was not expecting that. That actually, I don't want to say it shocked me, but it surprised me. So I'm going to go with that scene. But there are other scenes throughout the film that are bloodier and probably better than that. But that's one for me that I just kind of went, "Oh, there we go. I've never seen that before."
There we go. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Christopher G. Moore, you're up next. What is your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene?
I will say I knew exactly what was happening in the Holden Macy Gray thing.
Oh, so did you?
There was nothing shocking. It would have shocked me if it was totally opposite, but I knew from the very beginning how that was going to end. And it still didn't make sense to me. But I'm glad it shocked somebody. I think this is actually, it's got some really good. I think there's probably 2 or 3 of the segments that would make amazing short films and are great segments just on their own. And to be included in this anthology really makes this sort of anthology stand out. I think the cinematography is amazing throughout all the segments. Even if I don't like some of the segments, at least the camera work really works. The overarching sort of story kind of feels kind of like, oh, we need to wrap this up and tie it in some way. But overall, I think it's successful in a few of the segments. that really work and really stand out, including the teacher one, which is just like, I was like, wow, what just happened there? I probably would give it the same rating as Dave, 3.5. I think it's, I think we all like a good anthology. And so I think the segments that work really well, and then a few of them don't, because even things like Creepshow, they, some segments are better than others. And so, and this, follows that path, but at the same time, a few of those really stand out as very sort of shocking and powerful and cool. As for favorite scene, I'm just going to have to say that initial reveal with the teacher segment,
yes,
is just so messed. I almost like it. I don't know. It almost felt like I hate to say it, like a Stephen King type thing situation, but I was like, wow, they took it there. They got some balls going on here, or uterus, or whatever genitalia you want to use. Combination, if you like. But yeah, I thought that was I was gobstopped. I was oh, and just how it turns out, it's like, oh my God, I don't want to be around young people.
No.
Anytime, I definitely don't want to be a teacher, and I definitely want to be young people, and you definitely don't want to be cheating with any other people affiliated that have children.
Who was the one that played the daughter? Who was the girl that played the daughter? I've seen her before.
Actually, she was really amazing.
I love that scene where, and again, it's not giving. If you haven't seen it, you're not going to understand. But when the teacher's done what she's done, and she looks over, and the girl kind of goes, gives her that little.
That girl's creepy. Well, I knew something was up when you see that little teacher picture with her class, and that girl is like.
Yeah, you're like Columbine shooter.
Yep. Oh, stop! But she did have Mackenzie Brooks Smith. I believe is the actress that played.
I hope
she was good.
I hope she has a career ahead of her, because she is the standout of this whole movie. I think her part is amazing.
Yeah, she certainly did. Yes, I enjoyed this quite a bit as well. I wasn't sure if the film was going to hold up. Right, that awkward introduction into the actual storyline that Christopher brought up, that fade to black and then what's actually happening, is very jarring. But once that settles in and we get introduced to other characters, it starts to really make sense what's happening, right? It all kinds of folds together. And I really liked our lead guy. I thought he was a lot of fun. His name is Leonardo Nam, and I didn't recognize him from Westworld, but I knew he was on Westworld. I was trying to figure out who he was, but he was Felix Lutz on Westworld, who the character I really liked, but he looked so much different here. It was pretty interesting. But I really liked his introduction story. I think I understand why they put that story first. I mean, structurally, but also to get you into it. It has the most effects wise bang for the buck, with the thing that's being introduced. I mean, you could see easily where they would introduce that section later on in the story if they were to reveal one story after another. It would be another way to have structured it, and may have even been filmed that way, who knows. But it's interesting how that plays out. I liked his storyline, and I liked the AI, if you will, that he's dealing with, and that's the Robophobia. His friend, and that's actually my favorite scene, is the reveal of that particular character. That in the opening segment. Later on in the movie, that's kind of what I'm talking about, where maybe it worked better at the beginning. But the things that it does, the way it talks, I liked how that built, and it was I really liked that character as well, and the guy that played him, the actor. So this film gets a 3.5 from me as well. Yeah.
We are all in agreement. That never happens.
No, never. But there you go. That's our review for Phobias, which is out now, streaming somewhere. Not really sure. I guess it's just about anywhere. If you look on your home device, it'll be there in the search. I'm sure. It feels like a Shudder film if there ever was one.
It does, doesn't it?
Kind of.
I wonder why Shudder didn't pick this one up.
I don't know, but they should pick it up because it's got some really good segments in it.
I mean, it's no Coco Da, but you know,
well,
it's
what is, sir? What is?
Are you saying I should not see that?
Oh my God, no! Please don't.
Okay,
Please don't.
okay. I was kind of intrigued with the Groundhog Day element, but now that you mentioned that, I may stay away from it.
Yeah, Dave has the fear of what Doc will pick for him next. Whatever. That
Well, what was that one about poop or whatever? What was that one that we watched that was
The one about poop.
The one about poop.
They had the guy.
We're losing everybody. Everybody that's watching is just like, okay, I'm checking out now. Bye. All right.
We're talking about poop.
We have no idea what Christopher is talking about, but I'm sure we saw it.
The Atomic Dog. You know that guy that sings the Atomic Dog, or whatever that song is?
Oh, that movie. That's the one you brought up, Dave. I can't.
That piece of crap. What the hell was that? I can't remember it now.
I don't know.
I blocked it out of my mind.
We all blocked it out of memories. That was.
I brought it up when we reviewed the Coca D movie because this reminded me of that. Kubo.
Oh
Kobo?
God!
Kobo,
I definitely don't
Kobo,
want to
Kobo,
see
yeah,
that because
yeah.
that was one of the worst experiences of my life watching that. So
yeah, well, this would rank right up there with it.
But Phobias is much better.
Much better. Much. All right.
Much better.
Thank you all for listening. Dave, Christopher, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun, if not particularly off the rails. But let's say goodnight, guys. Let's get out of here.
Good night.